And we're back. Hey, Kotori. There was no reply. Kotori, I know you're there. Open the door already. Heard the sound of the door being unlocked. I'm going in.
ひばり姉に頼まれてきたの？
No. Look, what you did earlier was terrible.
あんた、ちょっと脅かしただけだもん。ねえ、ハット。ガガ。
Well, I guess Hat had just rustled about and driven Hibari off. He hadn't even pecked at her. But even then, a weak girl may even faint if attacked by a huge bird like this.
さっきはよくやったわ、ハット。あんたは私のボディーガードよ。
Bodyguard.
わあ。
Hat seemed happy to be praised by Kotori. Took out a cucumber I had been hiding and waved it in front of Hat. What? Okay. Stay calm for a little bit, okay?
わあ。何すんのよ。
I can't have Hat set on anyone else, so...
ダメよ、ハット。そんなの食べちゃう。
Hat is fully concentrated on eating cucumbers, his favorite food, and doesn't seem to hear his partner's voice.
所詮はアヒルか。
So why don't you go home?
前も言ったでしょ。今が大事な時なんだから、私たちにとって。
I'll be fine if you aren't here during Obon.
何よそれ。私なんていてもいなくても一緒って言いたいの？
Just during Obon? It was clear that Kotori was upset. I heard about the situation from Hibari. I think I understand your pain. But running away won't solve anything, will it?
逃げてなんかない。
You don't hate your mom and dad, do you? I mean, when you were talking about quitting school before, you said you wanted to reassure your dad. Kotori remained in sullen silence. You're actually worried about your family, right?
そりゃ少しくらいはしてるけど。
Then it wouldn't hurt to go back for just a bit, would it? During Obon, while you aren't here, the others and I can cover for you, so...
帰らないって言ってるでしょ。もうほっといてよ。
Kotori...
なんでそんなこと言うの？葵くんにはそんなこと言われたくない。これは私のうちのことよ。あなたには関係ないんだから余計な口出ししないで。
Hearing Kotori's teary yelling, Hat, who had been eating a cucumber, reflexively lifts his head. I'm sorry I went too far.
葵くん。
You're completely right. This is not something I should butt into. I forced a smile when I said it, but I might have felt a bit lonely.
そうよ。あんたには関係ないんだもん。
I'm sorry anyone would have gotten angry. I'm sorry I tried to meddle in your business. Just saying that I left Kotori's room. The rain continued to drizzle for several days, as though it were clinging on. After that, things somehow got awkward between Kotori and me, and we stopped talking face to face. It wasn't that we were angry or hated each other. We just didn't know how to interact.
なんか空気が重いよね。あの二人がずっとあの調子だものね。黙々と働く分作業効率はむしろアップしてるんだけどな。でももう姉さんが窒息寸前よ。息苦しくて辛いです。だよね。しかしなんとかしようにもな。その後どうなの？葵とは口聞いた？昨日の夕飯の時、お好み焼きにマヨネーズをかけるかどうか聞かれたっきり。
On the what?
そりゃ重症だわね。あの葵がそこまで落ち込むとはね。どうしよう、嫌われちゃったのかな。さあ、それはなんとも。嫌よ、そんなの。葵くんに嫌われたくないよ。やっぱあの一言が効いたんじゃないかな。 あいつあんたの保護者ぶってたからショックだったんじゃない？あれはつい言っちゃっただけで本当の気持ちじゃないもん。じゃあそう伝えれば？それでまた元通りだと思うよ。そうかな。それで葵は何て言ったんだっけ？立ち入ったこと言って悪かったって。まあ他人の家の事情に口出すのも変だよね。そんなことない。葵君には出されてもいい。
Kotori's problem is that she just waits for things to get better instead of making them better herself.
そう思うんなら本心をちゃんと伝えなって。へたれてても状況は変わんないよ。でももう嫌われちゃってるもん、きっと。今さら何言ってんだとか思われちゃうよ。ずぶ濡れだ。あまね先輩。あまねちゃん。いやー、君たち悪いが拭くものを持っていないか？小鳥先輩と仲直りしてください。姉さんが窒息する前にね。
That's not that easy. I was being pressed by the Kazara sisters at the end of the dock. Sorry I made things awkward, but they were telling me to make up with Kotori, but it wasn't like we were fighting. What could I do?
私嫌です。小鳥先輩と葵先輩が仲良くないなんて。ボタンを掛け違えたままにしてるような気持ち悪さがあるわね。前みたいに仲良くしましょうよ。ねえ先輩。
Asa grabs my arm and shakes it like she's pleading. Kotori and I had gotten along well, almost too well. That's why I didn't shoot on her family business so bluntly, like I knew everything. I really hurt her. For instance, the time I tried to stop Kotori from quitting school, I didn't hold anything back. I thought she'd hate me for it, to be honest. I felt that even if she hated me for it, if new possibilities occurred to her, it would be worth it. I was able to do that because we just met. But the issue recently was different. I've gotten comfortable with our friendship and intruded into an area she was uncomfortable with. I don't want to hear anything about it from you, Aoi, she says. Honestly, that was a shock to hear. Remembering that makes my heart sink even now. Thanks to that I wasn't sure how to talk to her, I felt a vague sense of distance. Of course, I don't want to leave things like this. When Kotori calms down a bit, I'll apologize to her again. There was something else I had to tell her.
絶対ですよ。
Okay, I promise. Problem is that I know Kotori isn't asking for an apology. So what should I do? The door opened and Ageha and the others returned to the dock. From the back,
やあ。
Hamane.
久しぶりだな、葵くん。
Hamane entered in her usual carefree fashion. It was the first time in a while that she'd come here.
お、だいぶできたな。
She says this looking at the airframe, which is drawn close to completion. I'll have to do her the paint job and the details.
それはいい。スケジュール的にも余裕がありそうだな。みんな集まってくれ。
Saying things with deep meaning, Amane gathered everyone. Kotori noticed me and awkwardly averted her glance. Amane began talking, not noticing the strange atmosphere.
顧問を引き受けたのにあんまり顔を出せなくて申し訳ない。大人だからな。忙しいんだ。いえいえ、顧問をやってもらってるだけで十分ですよ。
Ageha ignores the bragging about being an adult and replies,
それでな、少しでも役に立てればと思ってこんなものを作ってきたんだ。
Amane begins to remove a large sheet of paper from a long, thin tube.
あ、濡れてる。隙間から水が入ってしまったぞ。何なんですかそれ。
Ageha asked, feeling rushed by the somehow pitiful atmosphere.
これはな、小鳥へのプレゼントだ。私？
Kotori is dazed, taken by surprise.
そこの事務所の PC でブックマークを見つけてな。それで書いてみたんだ。
Saying that, she opened the sheet and it looked like some kind of blueprint. But it was not a glider. For a moment, even Ageha didn't know what it was.
なんですかこれ？コックピットだから、そこの PC にあっただろ。海外製のコックピットの。
Oh. Everyone was surprised by my sudden outburst.
びっくりした。何よいきなり。
Oh, this is a cockpit for handicapped people. Kotori, who had raised her head after hearing my outburst, peered at the blueprint again.
先輩が見たのってあのドイツのグライダー製作会社のサイトですか？こないだ葵が見つけた。そうそう、輸入しようとするといろいろ面倒そうだろ。だったら自分たちで作ってしまえばいいんじゃないかと思ってな。最初からこうしてればよかったんだな。話がよく見えないんだけど。これは君のための。
If you have this, you can fly. The cut-off Amine turned to Kotori and spoke enthusiastically. You can fly the glider with your own hands. How about it? Aren't you thrilled? Kotori had a blank look on her face. Seeing her expression, I remembered that we hadn't been talking for several days. Then I realized I had gotten a little too happy and felt embarrassed. The happiness that bubbled up after that could not be controlled.
小鳥、もっと喜びだよ。あんたが自分で操縦できるってことだよ。え、そうなの？
Kotori still didn't seem to understand. She was vacantly staring at the blueprint.
ラダーをペダルじゃなく手で操作できるようになってる。コックピットを改造する必要は出てくるが、このくらい大したことないですよ。葵くんが探してくれてたの？
Yeah, I thought you probably want to fly by yourself, so I never thought that Amane would draw up a blueprint. For a while, Kotori stared in amazement, not at the blueprint, but at me.
ありがとう、あまねちゃん。ごめん。
Suddenly, Kotori reversed the wheelchair.
小鳥先輩、ちょっとトイレ。
Saying that, she left the dock.
あんまり嬉しそうじゃなかったぞ。
God, what a mess. I wonder if doing this was intruding too.
さあ、そんなことないんじゃない？なかった。
Man, there's two Kotoris. You can barely see the one behind the after image Kotori.
嫌われてなかった。葵くんが私のために。よかった。よかった。
Whoa, what is going on? The next day, the rain, which had stretched over several days, stopped. Would you get out of here, Kotori and Asa? Well, Kotori's gone at least. The improved airframe was finally completed. Standing before this object they'd put their blood, sweat, and tears into, everyone was filled with emotion.
やったわね、小鳥。やった。
Standing a bit away from me, Kotori's eyes were shining with just a bit of happiness. Seeing that, Ageha winked and smiled at me secretly. I nod back at her. There's still a bit of distance from Kotori. However, the awkwardness from before is gone. It seemed we were both waiting for a good time to make up.
さあさあ、ぼーっと眺めてる暇はないわよ。機体をばらしてトレーラーに積んで。はい。
Alright.
私も手伝うわ。
There we go. We take apart the assembled airframe and load it into the trailer. Today we'll go to the runway and do a test. Test with our new model glider.
ぶつけちゃダメだよ。はい。
Today was Oz's first time to do assembly work on the glider's body. It's not difficult work, but mistakes can lead to large accidents. When people involved with gliders do assembly work like this by themselves, they begin to understand the composition and functions of the airframe.
ついに完成したのか。
Anshan says this while gazing at the improved glider being assembled. I had gotten him to help with transporting the glider. I would imagine Anshan feels connected to this glider too.
正直、お前たちがここまでやるとは思わなかったぞ。
Oh, it's thanks to your help, Anshan. He provided us with cheap materials, searched for difficult to find parts, and sometimes helped with building.
俺も見たかったんだ。こいつが飛ぶところ。今日は葵が操縦するのか。
Yeah. It's my first time flying here in a while. Until today, I'd been using my weekends and doing training at runways a distance away. Different than I was a year ago.
天音は来てないんだな。
Oh, so she says she's busy because she's an adult. Even if she isn't here today, she'll have plenty of chances to see a test flight.
葵、コックピットお願い。ポジティブコントロールチェックするから。
Positive control check? Man, are we already doing the maiden flight? This is like a lot earlier than in Ageha's route. Alright. I get into the cockpit and check the piloting system. Tail assembly and wings have been remade, so it feels different from before.
オッケー、次は後部座席ね。
Carefully undertake various types of checks. Of course, us and the other newbies were nervous, but so were Ageha, Kotori, and I. It is our first test flight in a long time.
じゃあ役割分担の確認だけど、まずパイロットは葵ね。で、ウインチ操作が私で。え、私じゃないの？私がするの。で、朝ちゃんが翼端を持って走ってね。はい、頑張ります。夜ちゃんは周囲の安全確認をお願い。わかったわ。私は
Kotori asked with insecurity in her voice. Without a word, Ageha winked at me. Your seat is over there, isn't it? Motioned to the rear seat with my thumb. Kotori looked around at everyone's faces. Until coming here, Kotori had been assigned to the position of controlling the winch. However, no one is surprised by the sudden change. It's because there had been a meeting beforehand with everyone except Kotori. Kotori had also realized that when she saw everyone's unnatural expressions. I made you a promise, right? I'll let you ride first. I made you wait quite a while, but Kotori had been looking at me vacantly as I blushed, but soon she blushed even more.
ダメよそんなの。だってこれ作るのに一番頑張ったのアゲハだもん。私なんかあんまり役に立ってなかったし。そんなことないよって言ってほしいわけ？甘えんなよ。朝だって乗りたいでしょ？それは乗ってみたいですけど。でも普通は先輩が優先なんじゃないでしょうか。夜は私は手伝ってるだけの部外者ですから。飛ぶのは一回こっきりじゃないんだよ。そうですよ。私小鳥先輩に最初に乗ってほしいです。あなたが部長なんでしょ？なら別にいいじゃない。
Kotori glanced upwards at me nervously. As there had been some awkwardness between us for the past several days, I can't expect her to suddenly be happy.
乗る。
Okay.
朝ちゃん、夜ちゃん、小鳥を後部座席に乗せるのを手伝って。はい。
Kotori was lifted by the others and put into the rear seat of the glider.
シートベルト緩くない？大丈夫。
Don't touch the control stick. Spoke to Kotori as I got into the front seat.
葵、これは改良型の初フライトなんだから、あんまり無茶な飛び方しちゃダメよ。
Of course I won't. Close the canopy.
はいよ。小鳥、いってらっしゃい。
Canopy was closed. Outside, sound was blocked out by the clear dome. felt a sense of nervousness coming from the rear seat. Outside, Ageha was running towards the winch. Yohu was inspecting the surrounding conditions from a distance away, and as I was checking the tow line, finally it's time for the improved glider's first flight. The real maiden flight. The wings we all made together will fly through the air. The promise I made with Kotori a year ago will be fulfilled. The air current is calm today. We won't be able to fly very high, but this is perfect for our first flight. But if you get scared, tell me. I'll land right away.
Aoi, 準備 OK?
I heard Ageha's voice come through the radio. Are you alright, Kotori?
いいよ。
We're okay. We answered Ageha and gave the signal to Asa. Asa walked around the other side of the body and lifted the wing, which had been leaning on the ground.
Runway is clear.
The runway had been checked. Lift us up.
了解。行くよ。
Tow line was pulled and the glider began to move. It accelerated suddenly. Asa was running with all her might, but soon let go of the wing. And here's some new music, it sounds like. I pulled the control stick. The glider, which had... this music sounds familiar, but I don't remember hearing it before, but it sounds familiar. The glider, which had been running over the weed-covered bumpy ground, gently lifted up. While the glider floated near the ground, it was pulled by the winch and picked up more speed. I'm going higher. Pulled the control stick back and aimed the nose upward. The airframe suddenly began to gain altitude. Ah. Feeling with G's with my whole body, I gripped the control stick so the glider wouldn't lose control. As we got further from the ground, the sky spread out before us outside the canopy. I'm gonna disconnect. As we got directly above the winch, I pulled the release lever. The hook was disconnected and the tow line was released from the other side of the airframe. We were released from the force that had been pulling us back and the glider was thrown into the sky. Quickly turned in and checked the tow line's disconnection. I have confirmed the release.
了解。パラシュートが落ちてく。上から見るとこんな感じなんだ。
Kotori, who had always been in charge of the winch, was looking at this small parachute from below. Takeoff successful. As I announced this, Kotori looked at the outside view from the rear seat.
すごい。本当に飛んでる。
Are you scared?
全然。
I'm facing forward so I can't see, but I'm sure that Kotori's round eyes are sparkling. That's what her voice sounded like. Checked the feel of the new wings. I first flew slowly over the runway. It responds to the rudder more quickly than the old wings. The feeling of gliding is smooth. This is the first test. I have to remember how it feels to report to Ageha later.
朝たちがあんなに小さく見える。で、撃ってもわかんないだろうな。葵、どんな感じ？
Alright, now it has a good feel. It's more sensitive than the old glider, but the gliding itself is smooth.
小鳥はどう？すっごく気持ちいいよ。よしよし。じゃあまあ頑張んなよ。おう。
What does she have to do her best at? I have a grasp of the feel, so I'll stretch out my legs a bit.
了解。ぐるぐるも無茶しないでね。
Shall we go back to that place?
あそこって？
Windmill Hill. Kotori seemed to think it was a good idea. I tilted the control stick to the side, stepped on the rudder pedal, and flew the glider towards the lake.
本当に飛んでる。どう、朝ちゃん。自分が作った翼が飛んでるのを見る気分は？なんだか不思議です。どうしてあんなものが飛べるんでしょう。不思議だよね。ちゃんと空中でバランスを保ちながら滑空してるんだもんね。どこかへ行くみたい。湖の方かしら。ここで飛ぶ時の定番コースだからね。
glider crossed over the lake and drew near the area above Windmill Hill.
いい眺め。この湖ってこんなに大きかったんだ。
We are at the edge of the north side of the lake. The lake is long and thin vertically. This portion of it in particular is narrow, almost like a river. Thanks to that, crossing over it in the glider is simple. I slowly flew the glider over the peak of Windmill Hill. There was a bit of a warm air current. I like the view here most of all.
いいね。立ち並ぶ風車が綺麗。街も見渡せるし。あれ、私たちの秘密基地かな。
Let's take that, just in case there's not another one. I saw the dock's round roof in the area that Kotori was looking. It's a rather large building, but looks small from here. Do you remember it, the day that we first met?
もちろんよ。
Right over in that area, your wheelchair had gotten a flat tire.
そこに葵くんが来て修理してくれたのよね。
And then the glider that Amine was piloting came flying in. And even one of those coincidences not happened, we may not be enjoying this time together in the sky.
上から見るとこんな風なのね。
Kotori spoke with emotion and she looked down through the canopy. I flew around the area slowly, just as Amine had done at that time.
葵くん。
Kotori called my name nervously from the back. Huh?
ありがとう。コックピットのこと。
Oh. She was talking about the blueprint that Amine had drawn for us. But I didn't do anything. I just learned there were cockpits for people with handicaps and collected information. Amine had found it by chance and drawn a blueprint for us. It's not like I asked for it. If you want to thank someone, tell Amine.
私のことなのに自分のことみたいに喜んでくれたでしょ。嬉しかったの。
Yeah. I felt a little embarrassed to be told that. At the time, I hadn't dreamed that Amine would prepare something like that for us, so in my surprise, I got too excited. I'd gotten too happy, so Kotori, who should have been happy, felt confused.
それに探してくれてたんでしょ。そういうコックピットを。
I just found it on that by chance and thought if we had this, Kotori could fly by herself.
ありがとう。
I didn't do anything to warrant being thanked. Being thanked even though I didn't do anything special actually made me feel weird. But I'm glad that Amine drew that blueprint, and when we finish building the cockpit, you can fly too. You'll have to train really hard, you know. Jokingly spoke in a threatening manner, but Kotori nodded solemnly from the rear seat. Hold on, I like this one more. She's looking straight ahead.
それとね。
Kotori hesitated as though it's hard to say.
この間のことだけど。
I heard the sound of her inhaling as though she were taking a deep breath.
ひどいこと言ってごめんね。
It's okay. I don't want to hear anything about it from you, Aoi.
あれは違うの。葵くんはいつも私の味方をしてくれるって思ってて。なのにそうじゃないこと言われた気がして、それで
Her voice made it sound like she was about to cry. I couldn't bear it, so I began to speak. No, I'm sorry I intruded on your personal matters.
違うの。
Kotori reflexively cut me off.
葵くんにはもっと立ち入ったことを言ってほしい。葵くんがそういうことを言うのはおかしなことじゃないの。
Kotori.
私バカだし強情だし素直じゃないから時々あんな態度取っちゃうけど、でもあれは本当の気持ちじゃないの。そのこと知っててほしい。
Okay, I'll remember. I could sense Kotori's relief. It was as though the tension that had continued since the canopy had closed finally dissipated. Alright, can I say something a little bit intrusive?
いいよ。
I like you. I like you, and not as a friend, but as a girl.
あの
Maybe it's a nuisance for you, but I want you to know. Actually, you know what? This is actually a pretty good one, too. Let's use that one. There was an awkward silence. Just as I became nervous, I surprised her. I realized that Kotori was crying. Kotori?
これ夢じゃないよね
No, I'm pretty sure we're awake.
私も好き
Things are already going better at this point than they did throughout the entirety of Ageha's route.
葵くんのこと好き
While crying, Kotori spoke with all her might, her voice carried through the inside of the canopy. I felt it not just with my ears, but with my entire body. I'm glad to hear that. I felt more relieved than happy. So we both feel this way.
そうだね
Which means we're dating, right?
今からずっと
I see. My happiness that I'd been holding in finally boiled over. Kotori is surprised at my sudden laughter.
どうしたの
But I couldn't stop, I was so happy. Kotori, I like you, I love you. I centered myself to the overflowing emotions and tilted the control stick. The glider spins around while flying. I'm so glad Kotori says she likes me.
好きだよ
Taking in G's inside the cockpit, Kotori answers frantically. I like you too, Kotori. Glider spins and does a somersault. Like my happiness has been transferred to the glider even though you're supposed to be going on a gentle test flight.
こらテストだっつってでしょうが
Thank you. Ageha's scolding voice came through the radio transceiver.
初フライトでなんちゅう飛び方してんの
I'm sorry, I just got a little excited. Panicked and leveled the plane out. Kotori, are you alright?
ちょっと目が回っただけ嬉しいのは分かったからとりあえずおめでとう
Congratulations.
おめでとうございます葵先輩小鳥先輩何どういうことさっきから全部ダダ漏れよおかげでこっちはむずがゆくてたまらないわ
Well, that saves us explaining it to everyone.
ああなんか後部座席の無線がずっとオンになってたみたい
What?
嘘無線機がトラブってるみたいねいやー気づくのが遅れたわ
You liar, you must have realized right away.
でもおかげで素敵な瞬間に立ち会うことができましたロマンチックです大空の告白
Well, I guess it is.
私てっきりわざと聞かせてるのかと思ってたわ
Ah, these guys.
葵あんたまさか最初から狙ってたわけ
Maybe. I hadn't intended to tell Kotori my feelings on today's test flight. It was a chance for us to have some time alone, just the two of us. There was no worry of being overheard by anyone, or so I had thought.
ま報告する手間が省けたと思って諦めなさい通信終了
Transmission cut off. Kotori. Kotori was looking down, her face beat red. After that, we stayed in the sky as long as we could, and we took as much time as possible landing the runway. We succeeded in landing without any problems, and when we released the lock, the canopy was open from the outside. Ageha and the others greeted us with smiles so wide they made me feel ill.
おかえりお二人さんおかえりなさい先輩おかえりなさい
Ugh.
さあ朝ちゃん夜ちゃん小鳥ちゃんを下ろすのを手伝って。はーい。
Kotori, who came down from the cockpit and sat in her wheelchair, was blushing deeply and had an unhappy expression on her face.
そんなに警戒しなさんなって。別に冷やかしたりしないから。そうしてもらえるとありがたいわ。私今恥ずかしすぎて死にそうだから。葵先輩お疲れ様です。いろいろとお疲れ様。
Ah, you're gonna make fun of me, aren't you? Asa's eyes sparkled like those of a heroine from a comic book, and a smile crept onto Yoru's mouth. When I blushed, my cheek was slapped from behind.
やるじゃないか。
Even you, Anchan.
なかなかかっこよかったぞ。
Ugh. Being told that by Anchan made me feel bashful, but also happy.
でどうだったこの子の感触は。
Well, like I told you over the radio, it's a little pitchy, but it's easy to pilot once you get used to it. The feeling of gliding was smooth too. The sink rate was low, and compared to the other model, it seems like it'll be able to stay in the air for longer.
なるほどなるほど。調整は？
It doesn't need anything right now.
そう破損とか歪みがないかチェックするわ。接続部も見るから。悪いけどコックピット座って。
Okay. We have to check whether there was damage to the parts during the first flight a moment ago. We will still fly it several more times today. I met eyes with Kotori for just an instant, and then headed towards the cockpit.
小鳥何やったね。
Ageha, I'm ready over here.
はーいすぐ行く。
From a distance away, Kotori watched blankly as we did our preparations for the next test flight. Oh, look at that. It's a perfect time to end it. Well, that's going to be all for today. Boy. Just see where it starts us off. See if there's any big cliffhanger. Nope. Alright, well, so thank you for watching, and goodbye.